Wonder what it feels like to belong to the public.
My goodness, I guess I feel the same way as the Tower of London feels.
Do you find it at all disagreeable?
From the 1920s, Hollywood began its epic journey to greatness. With the star presence of actors like Katharine Hepburn and the innovation of filmmakers who pushed boundaries through unique storytelling, the Golden Age seemed like a glamorous affair. However, behind the shimmering surface of this age lay a world of dark secrets, scandalous affairs, and shocking controversies. Here are 20 disgusting rumors about this so-called Golden Age. Number 21. The Fatty Arbuckle Scandal. The St. Francis Hotel in San Francisco became the center of Hollywood's first major scandal in 1921 after Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle, one of silent film's biggest stars, was accused of maltreatment. During the festivities, 26-year-old actress Virginia Rappe became ill and was discovered in room 1219. The hotel doctor diagnosed intoxication and prescribed morphine, but Rappe's condition only got worse. She was hospitalized 2 days later and passed away on the 9th of September. By then, Arbuckle had returned to Los Angeles for a film premiere at Sid Grauman's $1 Million Theater. The situation escalated when San Francisco police contacted Arbuckle, informing him that party guest Bambina Maud Delmont claimed Virginia had accused him of rape on her deathbed. Dr. Shelby Strange concluded she lost her life due to a ruptured bladder, suggesting Arbuckle's weight might have caused it. On the 10th of September, Arbuckle was charged with manslaughter. Despite weak evidence, the scandal gained momentum. The entertainment industry immediately abandoned Arbuckle. His films disappeared from theaters, Paramount stopped paying him, and only Charles Chaplin and Buster Keaton publicly defended him. 3 trials followed. After just 6 minutes of deliberation, on the 13th of April, 1922, the jury declared him not guilty. The foreman read a statement emphasizing that acquittal is not enough because a great injustice has been done to him. Number 20. The William Desmond Taylor Murder. The William Desmond Taylor murder story is as intriguing as it sounds. Taylor was last seen alive at about 7 p.m. when he walked actress Mabel Normand to her car. Several theories have emerged regarding the identity of the murderer. Some believe that the murderer could have been Charlotte Shelby, the mother of actress Mary Miles Minter. She was believed to be possessive of her daughter and may have shot Taylor in a fit of rage. The weird part of this story is that when the lieutenant arrived with his colleagues, they found actors, actresses, and studio executives going through the director's belongings. He also found Taylor lying on the living room floor with a bullet in his back, not exactly suggesting a natural death. Why would any normally functioning human being leave another human in death to ransack his home? The murder of 49-year-old William Desmond Taylor was anything but natural. Mary Miles Minter, a teenager, had been in a relationship with him. Her mother, Charlotte, was accused of his demise but never got prosecuted for it. Number 19. Charlie Chaplin and his underage wives. Charlie Chaplin had an unexpected rise to stardom and has one of the most remarkable success stories in the history of Hollywood stars. His career might have been an enviable perfection, but behind the scenes, he was anything but perfect. According to Peter Ackroyd's 2014 biography, Charlie Chaplin, A Brief Life, Charlie achieved the extraordinary status of becoming the most famous man in the world by the young age of 26. His relationship with 16-year-old Mildred Harris began during a period when he entertained party guests by imitating how leading actresses might experience intimate moments. When Mildred claimed she was pregnant with his child, Charlie panicked and quickly arranged their marriage in October 1918. They got divorced, and Charlie began grooming his next victim, 12-year-old Lilita McMurray, later known professionally as Lita Gray. Though initially admiring her and commissioning her portrait, he waited until she reached 16 before pursuing her romantically, casting her in his 1924 film The Gold Rush. When Lilita became pregnant outside marriage, he got scared again and secretly married her in November 1924. She bore him 2 children before their 1927 divorce. The last marriage to 18-year-old Una O'Neill was in 1943 when he was 54. It was so scandalous that her famous playwright father, Eugene O'Neill, disinherited her in anger. Number 18. Ingrid Bergman's Italian Affair. Ingrid Bergman went from Hollywood sweetheart to public pariah so quickly that one would think everyone had always hated her from the start. If you thought cancel culture started today, think again. The Golden Age had trolls delivering handwritten letters filled with hate just to satisfy their rage. Her life changed thoroughly after sending a simple letter to Italian director Roberto Rossellini. Dear Mr. Rossellini, I saw your films Open City and Paisa and enjoyed them very much. If you need a Swedish actress who speaks English very well, who has not forgotten her German, who is not very understandable in French, and who in Italian knows only ti amo, I am ready to come and make a film with you. This correspondence began a 5-year professional and romantic relationship, even though she was married to Petter Lindstrom at the time. The scandal erupted when Ingrid's affair with Rossellini became public knowledge. She received so much hate mail. One former fan wrote, "You are just a common adulteress, worse than a streetwalker. How can a mother bring such shame on her young daughter?" Another declared, "You deserted your 12-year-old daughter and your husband." The hatred was so intense that one of the letters suggested she take an overdose of sleeping pills. Number 17. George Cukor's Gay Parties. George Cukor is recognized as one of the most accomplished directors of the golden age of Hollywood. Within Hollywood's entertainment industry, George Cukor's homosexuality was an open secret. During the mid-1930s, as a prominent director, he became the unofficial head of an underground gay subculture that flourished during one of the most challenging periods in American history for homosexual individuals. His Sunday pool parties were popularly known to be exclusive and meant for boys only. Not all industry professionals supported Cukor's sexuality. Clark Gable notably turned down a movie role, reportedly stating he wanted to be directed by a real man. This showed the prejudice that existed within Hollywood circles. His talent and influence did not diminish in the face of blatant discrimination. Number 16. Joan Crawford's alleged maltreatment of her children. Joan Crawford's public image was not perfect, but that was largely because she was a great actress. It was because she achieved so much and decided to adopt 4 children, including Christina. This act of generosity was widely celebrated in magazine spreads, which portrayed her as having an ideal family life. Christina published Mommy Dearest, an autobiography that portrayed Joan Crawford as a sadistic perfectionist and alcoholic prone to unpredictable rage. Mommy Dearest became the first tell-all celebrity memoir, openly discussing childhood psychological and physical maltreatment. The book was a success and a bestseller. Who doesn't love a dramatic plot come to life? It inspired similar memoirs from children of other celebrities like Bette Davis and Bing Crosby, while the 1981 film adaptation starring Faye Dunaway became a cult classic. Number 15. Spencer Tracy's Many Intimate Scandals. Spencer Tracy's career began when he was discovered at Ripon College in Wisconsin. Following 7 years in theater, he achieved his film breakthrough at the age of 30. Despite his professional success, Tracy's personal life was every bit scandalous. He married actress Louise Treadwell in September 1923 after meeting her during their time with the Grand Rapids Stock Company. Louise, 4 years his senior, eventually abandoned her career to raise their 2 children, John and Susie. His reputation for womanizing was legendary within Hollywood circles. His intimate conquests included many of Hollywood's most celebrated actresses: Myrna Loy, Paulette Goddard, Hedy Lamarr, Loretta Young, Bette Davis, Jean Tierney, Joan Bennett, Olivia de Havilland, Joan Fontaine, and Joan Crawford. Yes, it was a long list. He was also infatuated with Ingrid Bergman at some point. The most significant part of Spencer Tracy's love life began in 1941, when he was cast opposite Katharine Hepburn in Woman of the Year. Their romance, known publicly as Spence and Kate, lasted 26 years, while Spencer Tracy kept up the act that he was a dedicated husband to his wife. Katharine and Tracy maintained separate homes, traveled apart, and stayed in different hotels to preserve their secret. It was a scandal covered beneath sheets. Spencer Tracy might have been an adulterer, but he was not even a faithful one. Number 14. Spencer Tracy's alcohol troubles. Spencer Tracy might have been a predator and a terrible husband, but it was not the least of his flaws. He also struggled with alcoholism. It was his one true love and his downfall. The severity of Tracy's drinking problem became so pronounced by 1935 that studio executives Eddie Mannix and Howard Strickling took the extraordinary step of creating what became known as the Tracy Squad. This specialized security team regularly paid off hotel managers after Tracy destroyed rooms during drunken rages and had to clean up after him when he attacked people at bars. According to some accounts, Tracy's behavior toward fans was particularly disturbing, with reports of him physically maltreating admirers who simply requested autographs. His drinking binges were legendary in their intensity and duration. Most lasted entire weeks, during which he would lock himself in hotel bathrooms with cases of whiskey and drink until he was unconscious. Even Katharine Hepburn, Tracy's longtime romantic partner and frequent co-star, acknowledged the severity of his unhealthy habit. Director John Sturges observed that Tracy possessed an inherent danger on and off screen. Spencer Tracy was once asked what he wasn't great at. His response? Life. Number 13. Errol Flynn's Unforgettable Trials. Errol Flynn always wished to live life to the fullest. The New Guinea environment shaped his understanding of power dynamics and entitlement. Flynn himself acknowledged that New Guinea was where he became a man, and this colonial experience had a profound impact on him. When Errol Flynn faced legal consequences in Los Angeles in October 1942, he was 33 years old and confronting 3 statutory mistreatment charges. The accusers were 2 teenagers, Betty Hansen and Peggy Satterley, whose lives had completely changed. The legal system's treatment of these young women revealed a creepy, systematic bias. Both ladies had their claims ignored and were even placed in protective custody for an alleged crime completely unrelated to the court case. Meanwhile, Errol Flynn's extensively documented history of intimate mistreatment of women was considered irrelevant to the case. It seemed like a classic case of toxic masculinity and internalized patriarchy. His defense strategy was simple: deny, deny, deny. He also placed the girls in a dangerous position as scapegoats for the public when his team suggested that the accusations were financially motivated schemes. Appealing to wartime patriotism, Flynn emphasized his recent American citizenship and expressed confidence in American justice principles. Errol won the case. Number 12. Judy Garland's studio-mandated addiction. Judy Garland's life ended tragically on the 22nd of June, 1969. Her husband, Michael DeVinco, found her slumped on the toilet with her hands still holding up her head. It was a miserable sight. She was 47 when she passed, and an autopsy ruled that she lost her life due to barbiturate poisoning. It was termed self-overdosage. They claimed it was accidental. However, the circumstances that led to her end were no accident. She became one of Hollywood's brightest stars during the 1940s at Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. Beneath the media success, she was a struggling teenager. While filming at MGM alongside Mickey Rooney, Judy claimed studio mogul Louis B. Mayer directly ordered her to take stimulants and depressants. She disclosed that MGM would give them pep pills for their performance and knock them cold with sleeping pills. After 4 hours, they would wake them up to give them the pep pills again. At the young age of 30, Judy was dealing with alcoholism and substance misuse. The autopsy conducted after her demise revealed evidence of liver cirrhosis from chronic alcohol consumption, which might have proven fatal had barbiturate overdose not occurred first. She was a princess on screen, but she slowly began to die on the grounds of the MGM studio. Number 11. The casting couch slang. The casting couch has been one of Hollywood's most notorious symbols. The phrase is now sometimes used sarcastically in publications or movies, but once upon a time, it was a genuine problem. The casting couch refers to the practice where aspiring actresses were allegedly required to engage in intimate interactions with casting directors in exchange for roles. The origin of this exploitative practice can be traced to the Shubert brothers. They established Broadway's theater district in the first 2 decades of the 20th century. Lee Shubert, the eldest of the 3 brothers, had a private sitting room reserved for leading ladies and unsuspecting novices. The room was barely furnished with only one couch couch. This single couch was where he met with numerous ladies who were desperate enough to give anything for their dreams. Dancer Agnes DeMille later provided testimony about the Schubert brothers' practices, boldly stating, "If you didn't sleep with them, you didn't get the part. The Schuberts ran a brothel. Let them sue me." Her words stripped down Broadway's glamorous apparel. Physical casting couches may have become a thing of the past in modern Hollywood, but the practice lives on. Number 10. Ince, a gun, and a yacht full of celebrities. Thomas Ince had a situation best described as wrong place, wrong time. In 1924, on the occasion of Ince's 42nd birthday, media mogul William Randolph Hearst extended an invitation for a weekend celebration on his yacht. Among the notable guests were Charlie Chaplin, Hearst's mistress Marion Davies, and emerging gossip columnist Luella Parsons. Ince arrived fashionably late, missing the November 15th departure and joining the celebration on November 16th. The lavish birthday dinner proceeded as planned, but Ince soon returned to his quarters because, somehow, he was down with severe stomach cramps. His condition was likely triggered by the salted almonds and champagne he took, both inadvisable for someone with ulcer problems. Ince left the yacht with a physician in Del Mar, where he summoned his wife Nell, his doctor, and son to accompany him back to Los Angeles. 3 days after returning home, Ince passed away at the age of 42. Dr. Ida Cowan Glasgow officially attributed his demise to heart failure on the death certificate. Now, the demise may have been a simple one, but there's a twist. Rumors circulated suggesting that Ince advanced Hearst's mistress himself and got shot for it. There was a supporting theory that Luella Parsons' column was going to publish the true story, but was paid by Hearst's media team to bury the story. Some sources reported that the Los Angeles Times initially ran a headline reading, "Movie producer shot on Hearst yacht," before quickly retracting it. Number 9. Lana Turner's abusive relationships. Lana Turner had a long history of dating abusive men. No one paid much attention to it until her 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane, had had enough of the drama. The confrontation that changed everything took place on the 11th of April, 1958. Lana decided to end her relationship with Johnny. What began as a private conversation quickly escalated into a violent argument that forever changed both women's lives. Cheryl had been instructed to stay in her room before the argument. Cheryl ran into the kitchen, grabbed a butcher knife, and ran upstairs to defend her mother. The stabbing was described as an accident. Allegedly, Johnny ran into the blade himself, and Cheryl did not have to do too much heavy lifting. He had an abdominal wound and passed away at the scene. At the court, Cheryl was released without trial. The murder was deemed justifiable. Cheryl suffered psychological trauma after this event for a long time. When she finally published her autobiography, Detour, A Hollywood Story, in 1988, she revealed additional disturbing allegations about Stompanato's behavior, including claims of intimate mistreatment. Number 8. The Susan Cabot Murder Case. The tragic demise of Susan Cabot remains one of the most bizarre and disturbing cases in the history of Hollywood murders. At a point in her career, she withdrew from the spotlight to care for her son, Timothy. They lived in the Encino neighborhood, and the duo got by just fine until one fateful day. On the 10th of December 1986, Timothy called emergency services to report a burglary. He claimed that a tall Latino man dressed as a Japanese ninja warrior had attacked him and his mother. When paramedics arrived 4 minutes later, they discovered a house in complete disarray, filled with garbage, rotting food, and overturned furniture. When the emergency services arrived, Susan Cabot was found amongst a bunch of interesting finds. She was lifeless. There was blood all over the place. The scene was extremely messy, and what made up her skull was rearranged into bone fragments and brain matter. The officials thought Timothy was just a teenage boy. On closer inspection, they realized he was a 22-year-old born with pituitary dwarfism. Timothy's statements were consistently inconsistent. The officers took him in on the charge of murdering his mother. That was when Timothy realized that his alibi was worthless. They returned to the house, and he voluntarily gave the officers his murder weapons. It was a barbell and a scalpel, hidden in a box of soap powder. His fingerprints were on the barbell, while his mother's blood was on the other end. It was too shocking and tragic to take in. Timothy confessed to lying about the burglar and murdering his mother. His lawyers claimed he was an example of a human experiment gone wrong due to the hormones he was taking. Tim claimed she had attacked him with the barbell, not recognizing him, and when he tried to call paramedics, she came at him with a scalpel. In self-defense, he said, he beat her. On the 10th of October, 1989, Timothy was convicted of involuntary manslaughter and received 6 years imprisonment. After serving 2.5 years awaiting trial, he was given 3 years probation. The judge concluded that Timothy had loved his mother very much, despite the tragic circumstances. Considering the state Susan was found in, one is left to wonder, did he truly love his mother? We'll never know. Number 7. Ramon Novarro's gruesome death. In 1925, Ramon Novarro was a recognized figure for his role in Ben-Hur. Behind the scenes, he struggled with alcoholism and the weight of his closeted queerness. He was a Catholic. His faith plus his orientation only worsened his guilt, along with the expectations from Hollywood to remain perfect. By the 1960s, Novarro managed to keep his sexuality private as his career went on. By the 1960s, his star had dimmed to the point that he was basically in retirement, living out his days in his mansion and frequently entertaining ex workers as Lambda Literary reports. 2 young men, Lambda Literary identified as Paul and Tom Ferguson, were to be paid to pretend they were just ex workers. After the men got into his house, they began to torture him and search for a bunch of cash that did not exist. The men beat him up so much, he choked on his blood. Novarro did not get the justice he deserved. Even in court, the accused did not believe they had committed any wrongdoing. The culprits believed the world would be better off without him. Number 6. Grace Kelly's steamy reputation. Grace Kelly had something that not many people spoke publicly about, a high drive for intimacy. Before Grace Kelly became a European royal, she led a very active romantic life that would have scandalized the public had it been fully exposed. Kelly's most notorious affair involved millionaire playboy Ali Khan, a relationship that nearly derailed her path to royal marriage. Her romantic history began early in her career with Don Richardson, a 30-year-old drama teacher she met while studying at New York City's American Academy of Dramatic Arts. Despite being separated from his wife, Don was still legally married. Kelly's parents strongly disapproved of the relationship. However, this was only the beginning of a recurring pattern. During her rise to fame, Kelly engaged in several high-profile affairs with leading men. She had a relationship with William Holden for a few months and reportedly had an affair with Gary Cooper during the filming of High Noon. She had no problems mixing business with pleasure. She enjoyed a brief romance with Austrian director Robert Dornhelm and basked in the attention her reputation fetched her. When she finally settled down with the Prince of Monaco, everyone hoped that her days of adventure were finally over. Number 5. Clark Gable's illegitimate child. Clark Gable was many things: a womanizer, a talent, and a polyamorist. He married 5 times and was never faithful to any of his wives. In 1934, Clark starred in the film Call of the Wild with Loretta Young. Loretta was way younger than Clark and also a devout Catholic. Clark had his way with her, and after she finished filming, she flew to Europe and spent 19 months there. She returned to America with a baby. She claimed she had adopted the child. She did everything in her power to convince everyone about her adoption tale. The baby, if you've guessed by now, the public ate the lie up. It was the kind of ruse that could only work out in the absence of social media. Her child eventually grew up, and she told her the truth about her father. During the chat, Loretta realized that she was made to get intimate against her will. She was underage. Her memoirs were published after she passed away in 2000, and her story touched the hearts of everyone regardless of the trauma. Number 4. Howard Strickling's role as the fixer. Loretta might have been taken advantage of and made to leave the country to have a baby, but she wasn't the only child star made to treat a pregnancy like a major inconvenience. Many female stars in the game needed better ways to deal with the inconvenience, and MGM had fixers who took control of the situation. Howard Strickling was the head of publicity at MGM, and it was he whom most of the actors approached. When actresses withdrew into seclusion for rest or an appendectomy, it was allegedly a coded word for abortion. According to Tallulah Bankhead's biographer, she allegedly got abortions like women got permanent waves. Many women had been through Howard's process: Jean Harlow, Joan Crawford, Lana Turner, and even Judy Garland. The Hollywood scene was so misogynistic and patriarchal that male actors were not held accountable for their acts of intimate mistreatment of women. Howard helped them clean up the mess and maintain a clean sheet. Judy Garland's abortion affected her for life. Some women were luckier. Number 3. Did Frances Farmer truly get a lobotomy? Frances Farmer was signed to Paramount when she was only 22. She did her best to fight against the grooming practices of Hollywood studios. She got more difficult to deal with as each year passed. Paramount tried to punish her by giving her mediocre roles. Around the same time, she started taking substances like alcohol. Paramount dropped her when she was arrested. Her reputation could not be fixed. She got into a fight with her hairdresser and was later admitted to a psych ward. Some claimed she was mentally incompetent. Others believed she got a lobotomy. Some thought she went through a bunch of shock therapies. Some thought the studios wanted to paint her as this crazy woman. She passed away in 1970 at 56. Allegedly, she once said, "I blame nobody for my fall. I think I've won the right to control myself." Number 2. Marilyn Monroe versus Jane Mansfield. Marilyn Monroe was the blonde bombshell of her season, and she knew it. The problem was that there was another blonde bombshell in town making the rounds. Jane Mansfield was reaching A-list status when Marilyn Monroe was blowing up Hollywood. Before they would ever meet, they disliked each other. Marilyn thought Jane was the cheaper version of her. Jane got on Marilyn's nerves so much that she told Lawrence J. Quirk that all Jane did was imitate her. "I wish I had some legal means to sue her," Marilyn complained. It wasn't just an imitation. Jane knew that Marilyn was irked by her. She took notice of Marilyn's alleged affair with John F. Kennedy in the 1950s and decided to get involved in some political action. She allegedly used the help of Peter Lawford, Kennedy's brother-in-law, to get to Kennedy. She told Peter that everyone in Hollywood and Washington knew about it, and she was certain Marilyn would be pissed. Number 1. Howard Hughes. Mental decline. Howard Hughes was born to billionaire parents, and at just 18, he lost them both. All he had was a lot of money and a love for movies, airplanes, and hygiene. He eventually became one of the greatest aeronauts and producers. A once lonely boy was making films and creating worlds. However, his success did nothing to address his psychological problems. Throughout his life, though, Howard had suffered from obsessive-compulsive disorder. It was popularly said that at certain points in his life, he would not take a bath, and he stored jars of his urine around the house. He would burn his entire wardrobe if he thought there were too many germs in his house, and wash his hands until they bled. His obsessive-compulsive disorder was the most intense of its kind, but some claimed it was good for his art. He shut himself indoors and sat in front of a TV screen, watching the same films on repeat. His emotional instability was above the roof, and he would stay naked in his house because he thought it kept the germs away. People thought it was all a steady decline into insanity, but Howard was just a boy who needed medical attention for his mental issues from an early age. What are your thoughts concerning these rumors? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.